ರೆಡ್ ಕಲರ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ರೆಡ್ ಕಲರ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ? ಅದು ಏನು ರೆಡ್ ಕಲರ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ನನಗೆ. இல்லப்பா அது ஆஃப் ஆகல, ரெட்லயே இருந்தது. அது நீ ஆஃப் பண்ணப்ப கூட ஆஃப் ஆகல. ஆ வருதாப்ப? சரி, ஓகே. Okay, we will, as it starts, we will start. Hopefully it will come anyway. We have our. வருதா? வருது வருது, கேட்குது, அவ்வளோதான். ஸ்டாண்ட் பை மோட்ல இருந்திருக்கு. ஓகே, will come now. Okay, we will start. मौनौ व्याख्य प्रकटित परब्रह्म तत्त्वं युवानम् वर्षिष्ठान्ते वसदृशिगणैरावृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः आचार्येन्द्रं कलकलितचिन्मुद्रमानन्दमूर्तिं स्वात्मा रामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीडे. So we have seen 10 gurus. I am keeping track of the numbers. We have seen 10 gurus so far, and very quickly we will also, I want to keep doing it constantly so that we don't miss the essence of it. So what I have here is a summary of what these 10 gurus are telling us. Prithvi is all about titiksha and paropakara. Vayu is about nisangatva. Apaha about sweetness, purity. Agni is ahara shuddhi. Akasha is the true nature of consciousness. Moon is about change and changelessness. Sun talks about the real nature of oneself. Bimba versus Pratibimba, which I was talking about. Pigeon talks about the perils of attachment. How much you should get attached. That is what I think the pigeon story told us. Python tells us God takes care of everything. That's the most important message we have to take from Python. Samudram tells us develop resilience in life. That is very, very important. So far we have seen the 10 gurus. Now, Avadhuta is taking him further. And he is going to introduce a set of 5 gurus. Actually, 5 plus 1. The sixth one is in between. I removed it and put it elsewhere so that I will have a flow. He is introducing a set of 6 more gurus. Okay. We will see, to the extent we break for lunch, we will see how much we can see, we will see. Because this is a continuous journey. Anyway, we will keep seeing it. So that is what it is. So let's see where it takes us. So next what he is going to do is the Avadhuta is going to take 5 creatures and use the 5 creatures to bring some important insight to us, some important message to us. So that is what he is going to do. We all have Pancha Jnanendriyas, no? So we need to get some lessons about these Jnanendriyas. So what he is doing is, he is bringing 5 creatures now and uses it to actually bring some ideas. So let us see what it is. The first one he brings is Patanga. Now, before we go there, so let me just give you a little preamble. Please understand, in this spiritual progress that we want to make, we all want to make some spiritual progress at the end of the day. That's why I started in the first session saying whether you accept it, whether you agree it, whether you recognize it, you have no choice. You have no freedom of choice. Whether you push it under the carpet, you think it is not there, all that is unimportant. That is where we are. That is our nature and that is where we are going to go. So if you have to make this spiritual progress, okay, it is very important that in this journey, our mind and our sensory organs are very, very important. Our scriptures very greatly emphasize that. We have to use our own instrument, and using our own instrument, which may have its own limitations, still we have to use it and then outgrow it. This is a very challenging problem. That's the only way. That's why in Bhagavad Gita, in the 6th chapter, when this Atma Samyama Yoga, when meditation and all those Sri Krishna talks about, he actually says, Uddaret Atmana Atmanam, Na Atmanam Avasadayet, Atmaiva Bandhuhu Atmanam, Atmaiva Ripuratmanaha. He says, Uddaret, lift yourself, Atmana Atmanam. See, this is a frequent example I give why you should not read a book. Because in this particular sloka, the Atma has come 5 times. All of them have different meaning. If you take a dictionary and find out what is the meaning of Atma, you will get some meaning. Or you will find, as Mohanji was saying, just 2-3 lines. That 2-3 lines will give some kind of a... You are limited by some space and it's all a matter of economics. Uddaret Atmana Atmanam. Use Atma and lift Atma. Look at the meaning of it. Atmana Atmanam Uddaret. Atmaiva Bandhuhu Atmanam. The Atma is the friend of Atma. The Atma is the enemy of Atma. Enough to confuse. Right? So, what is meant there is every Atma has a different connotation there. One Atma there which is constantly used is Manas. In that context, you have to understand Atma to be Manas. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. Whether you get into this downward spiral that we are talking about, or whether you are into a come out of it, everything is a matter of mind. Okay? Now, you should understand this mind is a very special, mind is a super indriya. In Bhagavad Gita, in 13th chapter, there is another shloka. In that, Sri Krishna says, Indriyani dashaikam cha. That's how the shloka starts. He says, Indriyani 10 plus 1. What is this 10 plus 1? Dashaikam. Dasha plus ekam. He says dashaikam. Why did he say like that? Because pancha karmendriyas, pancha jnanendriyas, 5 plus 5, 10. What is this 11? What is the 11th fellow? That is manas. Why you are saying manas is also an indriya? Actually, manas is a super indriya. How do you say that? Because I am I am in swapna avastha. My mind is running, my mind is eating, my mind is talking, my mind is hitting at you. The mind plays all the indriyas now. That's why mind is a super indriya. In Supna, that is what is happening. You are not running with your leg, but you have the effect of running. That's why that sweat on the forehead when the dog was chasing. So the mind is a super indriya. So that is why Krishna says, Uddaret Atmana Atmanam, Na Atmanam Avasade. Don't put down yourself. An uncultured mind will make you completely useless. A cultured mind will lift you. So in our tradition, in our scriptures, in all that, we are always told that the Indriya Nigraha is very important. Otherwise, we will make no progress. If you don't do Indriya Nigraha, progress will be very, very stunted. Progress will look very, very artificial. Progress will be very slow. And that is why, if you look at people say, what is this Achara Vichara? They are all meant for it. If you say you have Ahara Shuddhi, don't eat this, don't eat that, it is not to constrain you. It is to test your Indriya Nigraha. How do you test? I mean, you can go to the rooftop and say, I have all sensory control. Coffee doesn't come, I know what happens to the sensory control now. Or the tea comes 5 minutes late, I know what happens to my Indriya Nigraha. So, whether you are able to have a control and the Indriyas under your control cannot be argued. It has to be experienced and tested. It is not a matter of argument. I cannot intelligently convince you that is no good for you, no good for me either. Anubhava purvakavahi madbeku. We have to do it through anubhava. That is why we have what is called vrata. Why is this vrata? The vrata is shut down your grinding machine for a day. Do be nirjala. The real vrata in Ekadashi is nirjala. Which means if tomorrow is Ekadashi, today night you shut down the engine. Day after tomorrow morning only you start the engine. How many of us are able to do? In fact, there is a Chandra Vrata. North India, they do it very powerfully. You know what is the Chandra Vrata? What they do is, in the waning moon, they start eating less. And on Amavasya, nothing. On waxing moon, they start eating a little bit more. So many vratas are there. So many achara vicharas are to constantly test our Indriya Nigraha. Indriya Nigraha is a good idea. We can discuss, we can understand conceptually why it is important, what can it do. All that we can do very well conceptually. You know, you have to get up in the morning, you have to have snana, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do puja. This entire day's timetable in our samskara is actually a methodology by which we constantly keep our sensory organs and the manas under our control. That is why all those are actually meant for. Whereas, we seem to have moved a little bit away from many of those. In fact, in Kathopanishad, very nicely, I remember this. In Kathopanishad, there is a very nice mantra. It says, Paranchitani Vinutrat Vyatrunat, right? Swayambhuhu. It says, this Brahman is too bad. He is a bad R&D person. You know what he did? He turned all the sensory organs outward. At least he would have given a switch. I press the switch, Antarmukam. We asked how to become Antarmukam. This Brahman is too bad. He is a design fault. He should have given a switch. I touch the switch, my eyes go inside, my hearing goes inside. That's what that Kathopanishad actually says. That is the thing. He says, Paranchirkani Vinitrat Swayambhuhu Tasmat Parang Pashyati Na Antaratman. Because our bells and whistles are turned outside, we all the time keep outside. That's what happens. And how is it like? It is like building a beautiful apartment with 5 bedrooms. Beautiful apartment with 5 bedrooms with a portico. After building such a beautiful apartment, spend your entire lifetime standing on the edge of the portico and looking at who is going outside. Or who is going this side, who is coming this side. That's what people do sometimes in villages, sitting in the Thinnai. Okay? Now you have wasted a big house. If your entire life effort is only to see what is happening here and there, don't build only, build a small portico, put a chair and sit there. That is what we do with our Indriyas. We are all the time looking outside. There's a beautiful mansion inside. We are looking outside. That's what that Kathopanishad is saying. So it's saying, Kaschidiraha Pratyagatman Anakshan Avaiksha. Right? He says, Avrta Chakshuhu Amrtatvam Ichan. He says that who wants Amrtatva slowly develops a button for himself or herself. There's a long journey. He slowly develops that button for himself or herself, and then the sensory organs are turned inside. Avrta Chakshuhu Amrtatvam Ichan. When you have this, develop that desire, you find your own ways. That's why a lot of these practices are preamble for that. So this control of sensory organs is emphasized in a big way in our paddhati, our achara vicharas, our samskaras, our daily practices. All of them were actually feeding to it. Now, if you come to Vedanta, that's why you have what is called sadhana chatushtaya. In that, Shat Sampat, Shama, Dhamma, I mentioned it, no? Uparamadi, Titiksha, Samadhana, Shraddha. All these are ways by which you take control of a little bit of your sensory organs. Otherwise, it will just go. Endlessly, it will go. You'll do all kinds of things, without focusing on the essence. Most importantly, that's what we will do. Therefore, somewhere the Avadhuta wanted to bring that message also into this whole discussion. So if he says you have to control your taste, we are not going to listen. So thank you. Okay, is it so? Okay, thank you. So he wants to show examples now. The charm of this Avadhuta Gita is everything is actually shown. He is not saying, you look at it and make your own inference. That is how the whole thing is going. Na? So the next 5 gurus that we are going to see are the 5 gurus which is going to tell us something. The first one is Patanga. Okay. Moth, we say in English moth, no? Patanga, it is called Patati. It falls into it and dies. That's why it's called Patanga. Patati means falls in Sanskrit, no? Patati means false. So you see what it is saying? It says, Drishtva striyam deva mayam tad bhavair ajitendriya pralobita patatyande tamasyagno patangavat. See, we know this. When you have put a lamp in a dark place, the moth is attracted by the lamp. It consumes itself into the fire. That's what the second line says. Patatyande tamasyagno patangavat. Just like the patanga consumes itself and destroys itself completely. Why? Because there's one indriya called vision, which is its weakness. The light attracts it. The light is not heard. Light is not, it doesn't enter through our ear. It enters through our eyes. So it is talking about this indriya now. One indriya. Jnanendriya. Chakshuhu. Right? So he gives that example. Just like a patanga, he gets easily attracted by the power of vision it has towards a flame, and then it gets consumed into the fire and it is gone. We see it now. Sometimes we put a lamp and then there are 4 or 5 of them dead there because it flew up to that. It gets scorched in the fire. This is a normal thing we see. So I think as the Yadu Maharaja is taken along in this conducted tour by the Avadhuta, he must have seen it. He says, look at here. Try to learn from here. Look at here. There is a Agni. What are all things happening here? There is an Agni. That Agni has the power to scorch. Right? And it has power to attract. Such a creature which has a very powerful indriya called vision. And once it is able to attract that creature, which has a powerful, moth is one, there are quite a few creatures like that. Moth is the frequent example. Domestically, we are able to see it. So I'm sure there are about 40, 50 creatures which belong to this category. Then it gets attracted and it gets destroyed. He says, you have to learn from it. So there is a Kamagni. So this eye can get into all unnecessary things. And in the process, you can destroy yourself completely. The Maya, which puts that filter in you, can completely deceive you. And you go after the most interesting things you think for your eye, and then you get completely destroyed in the process. That is what you should learn when you see the moth. He says, Drishtva striyam devamayam tadbhavaihi ajitendriya. He is not a jitendriya, he is an ajitendriya. He has not conquered his indriyas. He has his temptation. History has so many stories of kings, no? who succumb to the weakness of the ladies, and then civilization, we read so many stories also. That's what he is talking about. Ajitendriya, right? Pralobitaha, patati ande. Such a person falls into deep darkness because he is an Ajitendriya. He is not a Jitendriya. He is an Ajitendriya. But in this particular shloka, he talks about one of the 5 Indriyas, which is that's all he is talking here. Although he calls him Ajitendriya. Right? He says, so that is what he says. योषिद्धिरन्याभरण अम्बरादिद्रव्येषु मायारचितेषु मूढः प्रलोभितात्मा ह्युपयोगबुद्ध्या पतङ्गवन्नश्यति नष्टदृष्टिः. It's a slightly longer meter. That's why in between I got stuck. Actually, it is, I think, Trishtup. योषिद्धरण्याभरणाम्बरादि द्रव्ये भरणाम्बरादि द्रव्येषु मायारचितेषु मूढः प्रलोभितात्मा ह्युपयोग बुद्ध्या पतङ्गवन्नश्यति नष्टदृष्टिः. योषिद् योषिद्धि ही हिरण्य ही हिरण्य आभरण अंबरादि द्रव्येषु. अंबरा is cloth, abharana is ornament, hiranya ambarana golden ornaments. Okay, all these are maya rachiteshu. All these are very fleeting. You cannot take it too serious because they are all asatya. No, yesterday I told what is satyam. None of them are going to remain. In Trikala they will tell nasha bhavati. Right? So this is the job of Maya. Maya used to take your sense of discrimination from you. That is the only single pointed focus for Maya. It will take your sense of discrimination. So Maya rachiteshu pralobitatma, he gets stuck into it. Upabhoga buddhya, he gets consumed into this bhoga. Patangavat nashyati. Why? Because he have a nashta drishti. His vision is faulty. His perspective of life is faulty. He got a wrong understanding of life. Nashta drishti. Yasya drishti nashtam abhut. Saha nashta drishtihi. Sabhavrihi. Nashtaha drishtihi yasya saha nashta drishtihi. One whose perspective is lost. So, nashta drishtihi patangavat nashyati. Please understand, every time when you see this vittil puchi, they say in vittil puchi in Tamil, no, moth. Whenever you see a moth which gets consumed into the fire, while so many things can come to your mind, one thing you should remember. And that is your nashta drishti. If your perspective, so it is not simple vision now. He is enlarging the scope now. He used the example of the vision as an indriya. But then vision does not mean only what vision means. Your vision of life. Vision can mean anything, na? Vision means perspective. So he says, if you don't develop the right perspective of life, what is this developing not right perspective of life? I will give you an example. See, there is something called Nitya and Anitya. Nitya, Anitya, Vastu, Vichara is called Viveka. Somebody asked, can you define what is Viveka? The Viveka is defined in Tattva Bodha as Nitya, Anitya, Vastu, Vichara. Nitya, Anitya, Viveka. That's what it says. Nitya, Anitya, Viveka. It is very important for us to know in our life what is permanent and what is perishable. It's very important. We don't give importance to it. In fact, in my management teaching, I tell them you have to understand what is permanent and what is perishable. Your quality of decision making will go up. Because many times we go after perishables. What is the point in going after perishables? Anyway, they are going to perish. So we should develop. So what is this nashta drishti? Nashta drishti is our inability to discriminate between what is perishable and what is permanent. And what is the udaharana now? The udaharana now is all that which we should actually nourish and wow, keep it in great reverence and all that. It's called ashraya. All ashraya padarthas have become vyavahara padarthas. All vyavahara padarthas have become ashraya padarthas. I'll give you one example. Money is a vyavahara padartha. It is not a ashraya padartha. You should not, up to a point, you can keep. Money is absolutely not a padartha which has to be actually, kept. In one more guru, it will come much more stronger. We will see it. I'm talking about the drishti perspective, I'm talking. Whereas God is a ashraya padartha. Today they have already reversed these two. God has become the biggest transactional entity now. They, use the God as a basis for doing so many revenue generation. These all kinds of nonsense is going on. So an Ashaya Padartha has become a Vyavahara Padartha. Whereas a Vyavahara Padartha is now, you do wealth management, and then wealth management of wealth management, etc., etc., etc. You keep on grow. I don't know what for, because one day when you are dying, probably you can die in a golden cart. That much we can do. Instead of a wooden cart, you can die in a golden cart. Beyond that, this money, a certain level of security and all, I can understand. We can't overdo. A lot of people take it too serious, unwittingly, because of Nashtadrishti. So, Nashtadrishti is an wrong perspective about who am I, what is life, what am I supposed to do in life. Vedanta will ask us to search all those questions. It is not going to give us an answer, but it will put us in the path of inquiry. That inquiry will give us answer through our own anubhava. We never asked that question. Once we began to ask that question, things will start falling in place. That is what it is. Right? So he says, Nashta Drishti, if somebody has a Nashta Drishti, Patangavat Nashyati, he destroys like this moth. So the only lesson you have to learn from moth is develop right perspectives of life. If you don't develop right perspectives of life, you may just get consumed. Unwittingly, you may get consumed. That is what is happening. We don't think through it very carefully. So, hey Rajan, he tells the Edu Maharaja, look at this example and learn from it. Yeah, that's what he is telling. Then he takes him to, he moves further. There is another thing that comes. Bringa or Bringi, depending upon whether, Pullinga or Srilinga, whatever you can say. Bringi. Bringi is a honeybee. Brahmara, Bringi. In Sri Shailam, the Devi is called Brahmarambika. Right? Sri Shailam, it is Brahmarambika. She is in the form of a Brahmara. You will find the 50th sloka and 51st sloka in Shivananda very, very beautifully describes that, actually. Anyway, so what is about this bee? Bee is another creature you should look at very carefully. You know what happens? Bee, you know what happens? It is attracted by the smell, the makaranda of the flower. So what it does, it goes into the flower in order to, and sits there, the flower closes, it dies. It is strangulated by the flower. That is what happens. Either it happens because of that, or if it is a mega flower, it gets submerged in the flower. The makaranda is just too much. It gets submerged into the flower. In any case, it is strangulated to death, finally. That's what happens to a bee. If you notice, that is what happens to this thing called bee. Right? Actually, in this, Avadhuta did not bring that example. I am telling that example because that aligns with the five indriyas, what not. All these are what not to do. Okay? Look at here, there is another example he gives of the. So, bee has two problems now. One problem is it is attracted by the smell and it runs the risk of getting destroyed. There is another issue about the bee. Just see here what it is doing. Okay? Stokam grasad grasam deho varteta yavata Grihan ahimsan tishtet vrittim madhukarim munihi. Okay. There's a positive example he gives. Then he will use the same thing and show another negative example a little later. At the moment, there is a positive example he is bringing. Stokam. Shanaihi, little bit. Grasam. People accumulate a lot of food. Food again has a much bigger meaning. Huh? Food is not just the food. Accumulating a lot of wealth, lot of jewels, lot of money, lot of assets are all food only. At the end of the day, he says, "Stokam, grased grasam deho varteta yavata grihana." Grihan ahimsan na atishtet vrittim madhukarim munihi. You should live in such a way that when you take from this, whatever is given to you, when you take from it, you should take it from it in such a way that it doesn't instill a great trouble or violence to the system. See, we are now creating so much of violence to the system. It's the biggest wrong thing we learned from the Western world. In IIM Bangalore, I remember when I was the dean, we did a lot of reconstruction, so many things I did. So what these guys did was they renovated all the toilets. The toilets used to be like these corporation toilets. We changed it. Then what is all these? We'll have to clean it up and all the very nicely we made toilets. They put the tissue paper roll. You know what our people were doing? They became hysterical. Once they go use the toilet, they do Draupadi Vastra Paharana. Some 20 meters. They lost their complete sense of what they are doing. I went to US in 99. First visit in 99, I was there for a year. I reached at evening 7:30. After about 20 hours of journey, I reached. I have not eaten anything. They gave me a house. Somebody gave me the house, took me to the house and left me. The house, every arrangement was there. Food was not there. Every arrangement was there. They even bought bowls, everything they kept for me. I was feeling very hungry. I don't know what to do. So I stepped out of the house. I went out. There was one Grand Union in Massachusetts. There is a chain stores called Grand Union. These are all these supermarket. I went in there. I saw and I came back. I was shocked. I came back and I wrote one article and sent it to Hindu. Instead of eating, I sat down and wrote one article, economic austerity, economic worth of Indian austerity. Because when I went in, I was shocked. I found, what was the biggest consignment that I found there? Paper towels. 1/3 of the supermarket was occupied only with paper towels. I never understood why you need, because I am by and large from a village here, and then I went to I lived in a very similar agraharam only. I'm reminiscing my childhood when I am here actually. So I never understood why you need so much of paper towels in 99. So I asked one of my friends, why do you need all these paper towels? He took me to the kitchen, just as an example. So his wife poured 1 spoon of ginger oil into the banali. She pulled through it. Then she put little bit of salt. Kai is sticky. Hand is sticky. This fellow throw it. Towel is used like a kerchief, no? No. You may use like that. I am telling you what I saw. So what I am saying, the way we consume, today it has become, in our supermarket also, the biggest thing is paper towel. We have done half the use there. Remaining half the use we have not yet gotten to. Half the use we are doing. Remaining half use is also there. Anyway, so what I am saying, I think what we learned, we didn't know how to consume our nature. So I came back and my hunger and all went. Instead of eating, I sat down. I am a professor, no? I sat down and I wrote an article. I sent it to Hindu. They published it immediately because I think they must have liked it. My article was simple. I have come from a country in which I took the example of banana tree, Kadali. I said every square millimeter of that plant is used. That is how we consume our resources. Whereas what I find in the Western world is they are reckless in their consumption of resources. This is what, in a nice way, I wrote. I'm saying it in a different way. I wrote. That's what he's saying. You have to consume such a way that it is very sustainable. Sustainable consumption. That's what you have to learn. You have to live a sustainable living. Living must be sustainable. That's what he says, stokam grised grasam. It should be very sustainable. Today, recklessly increase our wants and needs and all that. Shop until you drop. Malls are meant where you go and then pour all your resources, buy everything, anyway throw it. What is all this? So that kind of a thing we have all learned from Western. Whereas he's saying, no, look at a honeybee. When you look at a honeybee, without ahimsa, na himsat na ati tishtet vrittim. The way you live must be in such a way that you are very, very, very beautifully, you are part of the rhythm. You should not be, the human being has decided to wage a war with the rest of the Prakriti. That's what we are doing. We have decided to wage a war with Prakriti. And we developed technology to drill a hole in ozone layer. Our technology is so good that we are now drilling a hole in ozone layer with our pollution. That it is doing acid rain somewhere. That level we have gone. He says, no, we have to be very sustainable. That's what he says. Anubhyascha mahadbyascha shastrebhya kushalo naraha sarvata saramadadyat utpushpebhya iva pushp. Shatpadavat. This is a six-legged creature. Shatpadaha. Shatpadaha is one which has 6 legs. Because they have 6 legs, That's why, in fact, that's why our mantra also says, we look at the mantra, Dvapati, Chatuspati, Ashtapati, Navapati. All one-legged, two, Ekapati, Dupati, Isha, Chatuspati, Ashtapati, Navapati, all that will come in our mantra. One-legged creature, two-legged creature, which we are all, okay? Four-legged creature, eight-legged creature, let all of them live peacefully. That's what that mantra is. Gauri Mimaya Salilani Takshat Ekapati, Dupati, Isha, Chatuspati, Ashtapati, Navapati, Babushe. That's what the mantra says, no? That is the thing. This is Shatpada, actually, which is the, right? So, Anubhyascha Mahadbyascha Shastrebhyah Kushalo Naraha. From very small things to the biggest thing, everything works in a perfect rhythm. There is a very beautiful rhythm. Don't try to disturb the rhythm. And the only way you will not disturb the rhythm is by being part of the system in a very sustainable way. So the Anubhyascha Mahudbyascha Shastrebhyah, it is quoting that Mahanayam, Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. That mantra is just taken just to tell you, it is just a reference. Say, like, Muni must also take lesson from Shastra, little, slowly, we should understand. And one step at a time, we should develop our understanding of life. That's the second thing that he says. That one small little quantity at a time has two meaning here. One meaning is make it very sustainable. Another meaning is that is how you have to get your perspectives of life. You have to develop slowly. That is what you need to do. So that's what are the two messages that he talks about. Sayantanam swastanam va nam nas sangrenita bikshitam sangrannita bikshitam pani patro dara matro makshikevana sangrihi. Now you go to another part of the bee. The bee, it collects, first he said it collects little at a time. Now he says it collects and then hoards it all by for itself. In the first two shlokas, he said take little at a time sustainably. In this shloka, he says, Sayantanam swastanam va na sangrannita. Don't take anything for even tomorrow, today afternoon or for tomorrow morning. Whereas we have heavily endowed on our future assets. He says, don't do like that. It runs a huge risk. That risk we will see later. He says, Sayantanam swastanam va na sangrannita. Vikshitam. Pani patraha udara matra. You have to do what is required for now. Use your legs and head. It's only to get what is required for now. Don't hoard too much. So another negative lesson he is now saying is this hoarding of anything is not good. Okay. I remember this episode. The moment it came, I remember this episode. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi was sitting. Okay. There was a full thing of kadali, one tar full of banana was kept by the side of Ramana Maharshi. He was sitting. Then one monkey came in slowly. The monkey is, to take. So one of the bhakta got up. Because we are more animal than animal-like. We after all came from animals only. So he took a stick and then he tried to chase. Ramana Maharshi, stop. Wait. Don't do that. No, why are you doing all that? Wait. Ramana Maharshi's compassion, he used to converse with the animals. Lakshmi, converse with the animals. Keep quiet. So it slowly it came. It picked 2 bananas. It didn't pull the whole thing and went away. Whereas you and I, what we'll do? First we'll take it, slice it, put it in the fridge. I need it for tomorrow, day after tomorrow, next week. It just pulled, it was pregnant. It just pulled 2 bananas and went away. Ramana Maharshi said, Mogatla kariya poositu pora ava. She is painting your face black. Because she didn't want all that. She wanted 2. And you are sitting here, you are trying to stop that. She didn't want it. She doesn't have that impure mind like you and I. This is true of all animals. Huh? When a lion is not hungry, the lion and deer will peacefully coexist. Nothing will happen. Lion will not say, oh, this deer is available at 12:30 now. 4 o'clock when I am hungry, this deer may not be available. So let me first finish this flow, put it in the fridge. No. Prakriti teaches us, take what you need. Because Ajagara Vritti says that you will get, don't worry. But connect that to this now. That's what Ajagara was not bothered, no. Ajagara went one step, he was not even making effort. Here he says, this is Madhukara Vritti. Take only less. He says, Sayantanam Swastanam va na sangrinita. Don't collect for your today evening and tomorrow morning and day after tomorrow and all that. Don't do that, because what starts as a small way of doing it will corrupt your mind. You will become a big hoarder of wealth. The dharma karya will go. What starts in a small way will get corrupted. Mind is so capable of getting corrupted. He says, don't do that. Okay? Whatever you can hold in your hand is all that you should have. That's what, I said in Manusmriti, it is there. Whatever you can hold to the extent of 8 handfuls have that much. Anyway, that's what he's saying. So the point, another message that he's saying is, hoarding is not good. Why hoarding is not good? There is another shloka. I pulled that shloka out of it and put it later. I'll talk about it later. It came in this order, but I slightly rearranged it so that we have a thematic understanding of the, Upadesha. Shayantanam swastanam va nasagranit bhikshukah makshika iva sangrannan sahatena vinashyati. He says, if you collect and hoard yourself, have you seen what happened to the bee? That's what he's asking. Did you see what happened to the bee? The bee, by collecting so much of honey, bee finally burnt. Because that fellow came and took all the honey and went away. That is another guru. He is going to come. He is a trailer for that. Okay? He says, if you collect too much, it will go away. And it may even risk your own life, need not be life. It may risk your evolution. To me, life is nothing. For Vedantin, what is life? Death is only a comma, it is not a full stop. So I will not talk about death at all. For Vedantin, death is not a true Vedantin is not worried about death. Because he knows death is only a comma, it is not a full stop. So it is not about death. It is about you are destroying your self-evolution by too much of hoarding. You have lost an opportunity because your mind has got corrupted because of that. That's how we have to understand the whole thing. So that is what he says, the Bringi, when you look at, right? That's why also, in Bhagavad Gita, there is this shloka, no? Shanai Shanai Uparamed Buddhya Dhriti Grihitaya. In chapter 6, you have this shloka, right? Atma Samstam Mana Kritva Na Kinchidapi Chintayet. Every great thing is achieved by one step at a time, one step at a time. Is too much speed and all will have no good. So that is the first message. Do small, one step, you go. Don't feel very pressurized and all that. But that is the only way you can even get the ultimate truth. We don't have to feel very pressurized. Time is less. All that we don't have to do. Shanaihi uparamed buddhya dhriti grihitaya. That's what he says. It should be only measured in great, small steps. That is how we should do. And, so those are all the messages that you get out of Bringi. Okay. Then he takes him and he sees an elephant. Matanga is an elephant. Right? And elephant has this... so to coming back, although that message is not here, there are other messages. But I want you to also understand that this bee will destroy itself for two reasons. One is already said, too much of hoarding. That is the message that is coming here. But there is another message which we have, and that is a bee gets destroyed because of its weakness of smell. That makaranda is attracting it, no? So it gets into the flower and then the flower sometimes closes and destroyed. So in the earlier case, in the Patanga, the Indriya called eye weakened it. In the Bringa or Bringi, the Indriya called smell weakened it. That's not explicitly here, so I brought it because that's told in every other scriptures. Here it is not there, so anyway I added that. But it also says too much of hoarding is risky for you. It will Atmanashaha bhavati. Marana Mandala, I am not bothered. Atmanashaha bhavati. Your evolution will be stunted. You will not even realize it because your mind will go elsewhere. Your self-evolution will be stunted. Then he takes you to Raja is taken, he sees an elephant. Now, this elephant has a problem. You know how they catch elephant? They catch elephant by bringing another elephant. An uncontrolled male elephant is just caught by bringing a female elephant. Finished. Such a great creature will just surrender by the sparsh. They bring the female elephant, by the sparsh of the female elephant, this male elephant will lose all its power. This is how they catch. This is a normal method they catch and bring a inebriated elephant under control. So he brings that, he probably shows that event and brings him the next teaching. So what he says, Padapi yuvatim bhikshuhu nasprishe dharavimapi Sprishan kariva badyeta karinya angasangataha. Vikshuhu nasprishet dharavimapi. Okay? Padapi dharavimapi. Yuvatim padapi dharavimapi nasprishet. That's what he says in the first line. He doesn't even touch even the wooden figure. Dara is wooden. He says he doesn't even, he actually exaggerates the issue by bringing that kind of an example, but we have to understand the tatparya of what he's saying. That is indicated by the second line. Sprishan kariva badyeta. Just like the kari. Kari is elephant. Right? So, just like by the mere touch, the elephant is completely subdued. Badyeta, karinya. Karinya sprishan kariva badyeta. Using a she elephant, a female elephant, by mere sparsh of the female elephant, the male elephant is tied, subdued, anga sangavat, because of the sangha of the anga. So he says, we have to learn from this. And what we have to learn from this? What we have to learn from this is, there is this third indriya called sparsha. See, sabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. These are the five. Right? The rupa is the moth. Rupa is visible only to the eye. So that example is the moth. Okay? Gandha is the example of the bringi. Now, sparsha is the example of the elephant. So the message that is being implied here is, there is this third indriya called sparsh. A powerful or a weakened indriya. A weakened indriya called sparsh can completely make a powerful creature completely powerless. That is the example here. Right? Nadi gachet striyam prajnah karhichin mrityumatmanah baladikai sahanyeta gajair anyair gajoyata. Same thing is saying. Use one gaja and then catch hold of other gaja. In the same way, even a very learned person, if he is weakened by this indriya called sparsha, he will be destroyed. Learn that. That is the learning you have to look for when you look at the elephant. So that is the third example he brings. So he uses examples like that. He says, Atmanaha mrityuhu bhavati. You will see, in all these we have to understand that it is not about losing something today morning, tomorrow afternoon. I am not talking about that. Atma mrityuhu bhavati. You will lose yourself. Losing yourself means you have drifted away from the journey of self-evolution, because this indriya has overpowered you. Because this indriya has overpowered you, you have lost your sense of discrimination. That is what is coming again and again. In different ways he is saying that. He says, you have to be very, very alert on seeing elephant. You should remember that. That sparsh is also a powerful indriya to weaken you. Or it is such a powerless indriya for you that your power will be taken away. Whichever way you want to understand that. So that is what he brings through Matanga, which is the elephant. That's what he brings through the elephant. Then the next is called Turanga. It is called Turanga. Why is deer called Turanga? Turanga is something which runs fast. Turanga, that's why it's called Turanga, which can run fast now. Called Turanga. Turanga is the next guru. So he saw a deer. Okay. So he says, Gramya Gitam na shrunuyat yatirvanachara kvachit siksheta harinat baddat brigayogirta mohitat. He now brings the example of a deer. The weakness of the deer is the sound. Sound is the weakness of a deer. They catch deer by making sounds. They make a certain sound and attract the deer. And the deer is, yes. So they attract the deer is now caught in a net. This is how, so that is the thing. Harinath, Baddat, Mrigayoho, Gita Mohitat. Why was this Harina is again deer? Why is this deer caught? It is caught because Gita Mohitat. It is deluded by the sound Gitam. A nice sound is completely deluding this creature called deer, and the deer is caught finally. Right? So, all these he is saying his experience. He is an Avadhuta. So he is saying to him, even the previous sloka is saying to him, but we have to extend that logic and take it to our level. He says, Gramya Geetam na shunyat. Gramya Geetam means, any Gita, see, Geetam can be for your spiritual upliftment, or the Geetam can be for just your addressing your desires of your Indriya called Shravana. Gita can be anything. So when you say Gramya Geetam, it talks about all that music which can only satisfy your sensory urges. That is, you can have a very nice Shivananda Lahiri committed to 100 shlokas. Or you can have Saundarya Lahiri committed to 100 shlokas. That Gita serves two purposes for you. One is the Gita. Other is it gives you, Bhavani Tvam Dase, Mai Vitara Drishtim Sakaruna, Iti Stotum Vanchan, Katayati Bhavani Tvam Iti Yaha, Tadaivatvam Tasmai Dishashi Nijasayujya Padavim, Mukanta Brahmendra, Sputa Makuta Nirajita Padam. When you listen to that music, it does very good to you. Okay? And it can also, if you understand the meaning, you really understand what is happening. Bhavani Tumdase Mai Vitara Drishtim Cha Karunam. I am your Dasa. Hey Bhavani, I am your Dasa. So you give your Kripa Kataksha to me. Mai Vitara Drishtim Cha Karunam. Iti Stotum Vanchan. I wanted only pray like that. I haven't not even started. I want to say like that. Oh Bhavani Mata, I am your great Bhakta. Why don't you, your Kripa Kataksha, why not it fall on me? Iti stotum vanchan. Having a desire to make such a request. He simply, Bhavani Tvam. So this Bhakta has used the word only Bhavani and Tvam. Before that, Devi said, I understood what you are saying. Bhavani is one of the, tense form. There are 10 lakaras in Sanskrit. Like we have past participle, present participle, like that. You have 4 past tense. In Sanskrit, there are 4 past tense, 2 future tenses. Adyatana Bhavishyat Kala, Anadyatana Bhavishyat Kala. You can use Adyatana Bhavishyat Kala for all events that are going to happen today, later, from now. You can use another future tense to start talking about what will happen from tomorrow onwards. Sanskrit is a very expressive language. Similarly, Bhutakala, there are 4 Bhutakalas. Vede, late. If you want to talk about Ved, there is a certain past tense you have to use like that. Like that, there is another form called Bhavani. See, tenses and moods. There are 6 tenses and 4 moods. Bhavani is a mood. Bhavani means, I wish I were you. Bhu Dhatu, for which Bhavani means Karavani. Karavani means I wish I could do this. Chintayani. In Mukundamala it will come Chintayani. I wish I can think like this. So like that, when he said Bhavani Tvam, the Devi's thought, Tvam Bhavani. Bhavani Tvam. I wish I were you. Devi said immediately I will give you that. She didn't wait for what he is going to say. That's why Bhavani Tvam, moment he said, Devi understood, oh, you want to be like this. Tasmai Deshasi Nijasayujya Padavi. Okay, I will make you like that. That is the meaning of the shloka. So, such a beautiful music, such a nice meaning. All that is beneficial for our spiritual progress, as opposed to any generally, some very filthy songs also, it does no good to us. It can increase our temptation and then take us to the wrong path. That's what it is meant here, right? That's why mantra, Manyantam trayate iti mantra. When the mantra is uttered, that's why many times they say, even if you don't understand the mantra itself will protect you. If you understand it, it will take you to another level. I always emphasize we must understand. If you give me a choice, by hearting 100 stotras, instead of that by hearting 5 stotras with complete meaning, I will take only this option. Because when I know the meaning and when I utter the stotra, you go elsewhere. Completely you get immersed into it. So all that are good Gita. Whereas Gramya Geetam are all those which can only feed to your sensory pleasure even more. He says, don't do that. Because if you get subdued to your sensory pleasure, what happened to the deer will happen to you. It's gone. You will be destroyed. Again, you will be destroyed. Your spiritual journey will be stunted. Your Atma Vikasa will not happen. That will not happen. So that's why he says, Gramya Geetam na Shuniyat, Yatihi Vanachara. He talking about an Yati, but it is true for us also. Itihi Vanacharaha Kochit. No point in time, let him not get into it, because if he gets into it, he will lose the very purpose of what he is doing. He will get destroyed, like just like the deer, which gets completely destroyed. So that's what he says. Harinad Baddat Siksheta. I learnt that. That is the Sikshanam I got. That is the lesson I got when I saw the deer. So he showed the deer to him. You know, there is this story of Rishi Shringa. There is a story of the, you know how the Rishi Shringa got married? Rishi Shringa was with his father, who was a great man. The boy was with his father. His only limitation, his only weakness was music. So in the Angadesha, there was a yajna to be done. So everybody said, bring Rishi Shringa, only then it will happen. So one day the father had gone somewhere. The king, what he did was he arranged for a beautiful band of music to be played. So they went and played the music and started moving. Rishi Shringa moved with them. Because he has the weakness of that. Shravana Sakti is his weakness. That Indriya is his weakness. That is how the story is. He moved into the Angadesha. The Raja married his daughter. That Rishi Shringa only did the Putra Kameshti for Dasharatha. All that stories are connected. And that Rishi Shringa came to Shringeri. That's the Sthala Purana and all that kind of a thing. So the Rishi Shringa story reminds us again that, you know, it was for good. In that case, it turned out to be for good. What I am saying is that this Indriya can be hugely, right? That's what it is. So he said, that is what I learned from the deer. So whenever I see a deer, I understand, be watchful of your Indriya called Shabda, Shravanam. That is what I learned. Then they moved on. There was a very nice pond. Some fellow was sitting for fishing. On seeing it, he got the next lesson. So the next one is fish. Meena. That is the next guru. So maybe the Yadu was taken by the Avadhuta. As they were walking, they found there was a pond. One fellow was sitting with a fishing hook, whatever. And then Avadhuta said, I have learned another lesson here. On seeing it, I have learned another lesson here. How is the fish caught? Fish is caught by putting that food, no? So another Indriya is the weakness of the fish. The taste. The fish is captured by mere taste, which we know. That's what they do today also. They put the food and then they do it, and then the moment itself, take it out. It gets stuck and then take it out, right? So he says that example. He says, moment I saw a sheep. So now you see, you have Patanga first. Patanga is all about Rupa. That Indriya, Patanga. Then you have Bringa. Rasa, huh? Taste. Oh, sorry. Ganda. Sorry, Ganda. Because the order is different, so I put it in another order. That is just missing. Anyway, so the Patanga is the Ganda, is the Indriya which is thing. Then you have Sparsha, which is the elephant. Right? Then Shabda, which is deer. Now it comes to Rasa, taste. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. These are the 5. So Avadhuta has got 5 examples for each one of them. Sabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. We are now in Rasa, taste. Taste is the biggest weakness for most of us. Actually, he is going to tell that. He is very realistic. He's going to tell that. See, a lot of us genuinely, I have seen also. They say, oh, now I will do, fasting. All that. They do 4 days, 5 days of fasting and sort out the average on the sixth day. Eat like mad and then finished. The average comes to the same. Eating is he's going to tell, eating is the most, if you control eating, half your journey is gone. That is why Vrata was important in our culture. He's going to say, I think that will come. Okay? Anyway, let us see. Jihvayati pramatinya jano rasa vimohitah. That's what it is saying. Okay? Mrityum richyat asad buddhihi. Mrityum richati asad buddhihi minastu vidishaihi yata. If I break it, it becomes much easy. So let me break. I always read by breaking all the sandhi. Second line is Mrityum Richati Asad Buddhihi Minaha Tu, right? Badishaihi Yata. So that is all in sandhi. It has become very complicated to read. Okay. Mrityum Richyat Yasad Buddhir Minastu Vidishair Yata. He says, Jihvayati pramatinya. Pramata means foolishness, not pramadam. In Tamil, pramadam means great. Pramata means foolishness. Actually, he wrongly got that. Okay. Pramatinya rasa vimohitaha, one who is so deluded by the taste, rasa. Rasa vimohitaha, jihvayati. The tongue goes to where it has to go. Because he is completely controlled by the food. The food temptation is too much. Of all the temptation, food is a big temptation for many of us. That's why when people are very angry, give them the food he likes, first he'll come down. He likes, then Nijavai, I'm really telling you, seriously, if somebody is so upset and angry, he's a coffee lover, get him a fresh coffee. Upashanta Ramati, Manikarnika God will come. They are easily captured by food. Very easily they are captured by food actually. He says, Jihvayanti Pramatinya Janaha, all these people, Rasa Vimohitaha, Mrityum Richati, they get destroyed. All this Mrityu does not mean death. Please understand, whenever this is there, the Mrityu that we are talking about is destroying your personality and your professional, your spiritual growth. That is what is we are studying a Vedanta text. So Mrityu is not Mrityu in that sense. Mrityu means your Vyaktitva Vikasa is gone. You have stunted your spiritual growth. Okay? Minastu Badishaihi. Badishai is that rod with which you catch, the fish catch. Badishaihi Yata. That's what he says. Hey Rajan, look at this fish. That fellow is catching the fish. That poor creature got stuck because of its temptation on the tongue. Right? So that is what he is saying. Okay. Indriyani, yeah. Yeah, Asad Buddhihi. Indriyani Jayantyashu Nirahara Manishinaha Varjayitva Turasanam Tannirannasya Vardate. Indriyani Jayanti Ashuhu Nirahara Manishinaha. He says Manishinaha means thoughtful people. Manisha means thought. Manishinaha means very thoughtful people, which means people who have seriously thought about it. They are very considered of the importance of it. Thoughtful people, no? Manishinaha Indriyani Jayanti. Ashu, quickly. How? By being a Nirahara. Okay? Varjayitva tu rasanam tannirasya vardate. Okay? He says this when you fast, there is a Bhagavad Gita shloka which also comes in chapter 2, which brings this idea. In that shloka, it says, Rasavarjaha Rasopi. There is one, I think it is 55th shloka or 56th shloka, right? What he says is Rasavarjaha. What happens, you try fasting, you will experience this. Let's say you fast. You know what happens on that day? That day there is a lot of thought about food. Rasavarjaha Rasopi. That's what Krishna says in that 54th shloka, 50th shloka in Bhagavad Gita, somewhere it comes. He says, when you fast, you may control all the sensory organs, but you are very much, that day only, invariably, you think of the taste and there is cooking some good food. It really, for a moment, you think, oh, next Ekadashi will be in Vrata. This Ekadashi is okay. After all, it's okay. Or, we'll take one jalebi. Nothing will happen. Just we'll take one jalebi. That's okay. These temptations are very high. If you be in fasting, you'll understand. And you need about 6 months of 8 months of fasting to get into real fasting. That's my experience. I started fasting at the age of 45. First 6 months was terribly bad for me. But then I realized that is how it is. You have to ramp up slowly. Nothing should be done. Shanaihi, Shanaihi. The honeybee told us. You should not, get into brute force fasting and all. In the same speed, you will come back. That's not the way. It will be hugely tempting. You need 6 to 8 months to conquer it. That's what he's saying. He's saying of all the indriyas, tongue is very, very difficult. Right? Now, there is this nice story I have heard from Nachur Swami. It suddenly comes to my mind. See, the tongue one day told to the teeth, hey, you are so good, pa. You are crushing everything and then giving it to you, giving it to me for enjoying it. That's what the teeth is doing, no? It's the grinder. So the tongue told the teeth, what a great help you are doing. I am so indebted to you. Tell me what I should do. Because I want to do pratipakara for you. The teeth said, keep quiet here, otherwise I will become non-existent. Don't talk all kinds of nonsense. Understood what I am saying? So the tongue said to the teeth, you have been so nice to me. I really want to do something. What should I do? Don't do anything. I'll be safe. So this tongue has another problem. This is the other problem. Right? We say Draupadi Vayala Ketta. In Tamil they say Draupadi. So, like that, with Draupadi Arahala Katta, something like that. See, like that, there is a saying. What happens is, Vayala Katta, something like that. Yeah. So, this Indriya is a very, very dangerous Indriya. He says all other Indriyas you can. Somehow, this fellow is the toughest. That is why Vrata is kept. That is the meaning of this Vrata. Now, you need a Nobel laureate to tell you have to be in Vrata. 3 years back, the Nobel Prize in Medicine was given for Ekadashi Vratam. Because they said the fasting, how it destroys the cancerous cells. Some research they did that. See, today we have so much of Shraddha and Nobel laureate, not on rishis. Both are saying, you never sat with him and did the experiment. You just listen to what he said. That's called Shraddha. When he said something, you nodded your head. When Rishi says something, we don't want to nod our head. Macaulay has taught us not to do it. Actually. Niraharasya Dehina. Niraharasya Dehina. That is a shloka. Exactly. That is a shloka in Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter. Right? So, when you are rasavarjitaha, rasopi, you may not eat, but that day your thought on food may be more. And the temptation may be too much. So, you need 3 to 6 months to, hold yourself to that. But after that, it is highway, I am telling you. So beautiful. This Vrata is so good. I only do an Ekadashi Vrata. I, as far as possible, try to be Nirjala, mostly. So good. The digestive system really, I feel very good. It's all overhauled and then put to rest and so on. But it is a very tough process. And slightest opportunity, you can come back from it. Once in a while, I keep doing it. I went to US. They said, "Sir, no, Ekadashi, you should not be here. Nothing, something will happen." I said, "Okay," and I ate. I was a little worried. I said, "Okay." Ekadashi I ate when I was in the US 15 days back, like that. We find an opportunity to slip from that also. That's what it is saying. So he said, that is what you have to understand. Okay? Tavat jitendriyo nasyat. Look at this shloka. Tavat jitendriyo nasyat vijitanyendriya puman najayet rasanam yavat jitam sarvam jite rase. Jitam sarvam jite rase. If you overpowered rasa, you would have overpowered everything. The Avadhuta says, this is the indriya, you have to put your hand first. That's what he's saying. You put your hand on this indriya first. This is the first indriya nigraha you have to practice. Jitam rase sarvam jitam. That's what he says. Tavat jitendriyaha nasyat. You can't call yourself to be a jitendriya, that you have overpowered and conquered senses. Okay? When najayet rasanam, eating you have to control. Until you control eating, you cannot call yourself to have overpowered the indriyas. That's the conclusion I said, that's the shloka that will come. It says, Yavajitam sarvam jite rase. Yavajitam rase sarvam jitam. When you are able to conquer your tongue in two ways. One is eating, other is speaking. Both are difficult. But eating to an extent we can do. Speaking is even tougher. Vangmaya tapas is very important. Bhagavad Gita chapter 17, he talks about Anudvekakaram vakyam priyam hitam cha. Krishna says, what is Vangmaya tapas? Anudvekakaram vakyam. Udvekakaram means, many people are known for it. Moment you say one sentence, my mercury will shift. Go up. My blood pressure will go up because that's how you talk. You say something, I got agitated. That's called Udvekaram. He says, Anudvekakaram vakyam. Vangmaya tapas is what you say should actually bring down your pressure rather than increase your pressure. Anudvekakaram vakyam priyam hitam cha. That is called Vangmaya tapas. So you have to conquer that also. It's not only taste. Because the tongue is, fortunately or unfortunately, both a karmendriya and a jnanendriya. It is a jnanendriya when eating. It is a karmendriya when it is shouting. It is both, no? So you need to control both. That is why both are required. That is why if you control your tongue, it is possible that you can control everything. That is what Avadhuta says here. He says this is a very, very big and a very great, that's why it is called upavas. Now, upa means near. Vasa means living. So upavas means instead of eating all that, do some parayana, go near the God. Instead of that, we call it as palaharam and paraharam. Palaharam. Many different food you eat. Palagara. Or parahara. You eat a lot of fruits. It is. Huh? No, I am telling it in Tamil. Palaharam. Eat different. Sometimes, we seem to miss the essence of it. But, in a humorous way, I said, that's why you should say upavas. That word is a better word. Upavas. Go near. Go and live near. Live near what? The tattva. Purnatva. That is what it is. That's the purpose of it. And the Indriya Nigraha will help us to do all that. So the food control is hugely emphasized in our Sanatana Dharma. And that is the biggest compromise we have made today. Today, I see even everybody eat like an animal. Animal will have one plate in which everybody will eat. That's what most human beings do today. We have gone to that level today. There is nothing. Angel, illa. One day plate. In one plate, everybody partakes like an animal. In the name of modernity. That's not what it is. We had enormous control and emphasis on food practices in terms of what you eat, how much you eat, when you eat. Everything is there. For example, you are not supposed to take curd after sunset. It is equivalent to mamsa. Many don't even know. You cannot take curd in the night after sunset. Some Nobel laureate will do a research 100 years later and tell, then we'll start shaking our head. He will say, if we eat curd in the night, something will happen. He will say, we don't want to listen to our rishis or our Dharma Shastra. We want some proof from somewhere. If Shastraya Sukhayacha. If we can follow Shastras, possibly we'll have a very good. There's too much talk about food. We'll go for food now. We will take a break now, and we will, on this note, we will stop it here and then continue it tomorrow. We'll take a break here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. So we will meet here at 2:10 nearabouts, because about 2:15 we thought just at the back gate is the college. We don't have to go like that. We'll have food, we'll take a little rest, and then we'll come here at 2:10. 2:15 they will come, and then we will go. We'll see. I want to tell you, I didn't tell at that point in time. 10 years back, it's more than 10, maybe 10 years. 10 years back, I came here. I brought one more professor from IIM Bangalore. Sheila ji personally requested me, sir, you must come, you have to study our schooling system, all that. We came, our college and all that. She wanted something. So that time I actually said, I want to talk to a lot of students and their parents. Teacher and all is fine, but I want to talk to the students and the parents, and they arranged. There were a lot of Muslims and their parents I met. I was stunned when I heard. I said, Nagapattinam has a good Muslim college. Why are you not sending there? Many of them said, no, sir. We will send our children only here. I said, is a Hindu? No, sir. This is where values are established. All that we'll see later. So this college serves with a much broader vision. And it is for everybody. It has benefited very significantly to this part of the world. That is what happens when a great Purusha takes an avatar in a place. Everybody gets benefited by that. You will see that in action. Infrastructure will just stunt you. All the good work of people here have done a great. So even saying anything they are doing, that is the greatness of what they are doing. We'll go and see that. We're not going to see all of them. I have told them a few places we will see without disturbing the classes and all. We will see a few places, and then we'll see the Divya Desham is just opposite there. It's a nice place, small little place. We'll see that and then come. That is the plan. Yeah.